In the boardroom on the 42nd floor of Harper Lux's headquarters in central Manhattan, Nora Bennett stood tall, her heart pounding as if it might burst through her chest. The sketches for the new youth-oriented fashion collection, Urban Pulse, were clutched tightly in her arms, each line vibrant and dancing on the page. This was the dream she had nurtured for 6 months, staying up late night after night in her small Brooklyn studio, crafting designs for modern young women, confident, dynamic, yet still bearing the elegant hallmark of Harper Luxe. The boardroom gleamed under LED lights, its glass walls offering a view of New York's skyline. The board of directors, 8 men in identical gray suits, sat around a polished walnut table. At the head of the table, her father, James Harper, the founder of Harper Luxe, watched her with a cold gaze, not that of a father, but of a businessman weighing risks. Nora took a deep breath, placed her sketches on the table alongside fabric swatches and carefully curated color palettes. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, her voice clear and resonant in the hushed room, "the Urban Pulse collection is a statement for today's young women. We're using high-end recycled fabrics, eco-friendly, paired with tailored cuts that flatter while remaining comfortable, suitable for both the office and evenings out on the town. This isn't just fashion, it's a lifestyle." She pointed to a trench coat with asymmetrical hems and clever hidden pockets, then a meaty dress that could transform its style depending on the occasion. Her red blouse, a self-made design, stood out like a flame amidst the sea of gray suits, as if declaring she belonged here, though at times she wondered if she truly was accepted. She presented market research data, highlighting that Gen Z and millennials were seeking sustainable fashion brands that didn't sacrifice individuality. "We have the chance to lead this market," she concluded, flashing a confident smile. "Any questions?" Silence. A heavy silence broken only by the faint hum of the air conditioning overhead. The men on the board stared at her sketches, expressionless. Nora felt a bead of sweat trickle down the back of her neck, but she held her stance, her gaze sweeping across their faces for any hint of response. No one spoke. Then James, her father, tapped his pen on the table once, twice the sound like the beat of a fateful drum. "An interesting idea, Nora," he said, his tone flat, waving a hand as if dismissing a fleeting thought. The gold ring on his finger glinted under the lights, but perhaps a bit too bold for our clientele. The words hit like a slap. Too bold? Just last month, in his private office, James had patted her shoulder, saying these designs were the fresh breath Harper Luxe needed. She opened her mouth to argue, but before she could speak, her brother Michael stood up, his movements smooth as if rehearsed for a stage. "If I may," Michael said, pulling a folder from his leather briefcase. "My team has also developed a concept for a youth fashion line. We're calling it City Beat." Nora Bennett felt the floor tilt beneath her. Michael switched onto the projector, and slide after slide appeared on the screen. Her color palette, her chosen fabrics, her 3 months of research on recycled materials, even the asymmetrical silhouettes she was so proud of. It was all repackaged with minor tweaks, as if someone had taken her painting and added a few brushstrokes to claim it as their own. "Bold but approachable," Michael declared, his voice smooth. "Exactly what the market is looking for." "Brilliant idea, Michael," the board chairman nodded. "Precisely what we need," another member chimed in. James looked at Michael, his expression softening with a rare hint of pride. "Excellent work," he concluded, as if sealing the matter. Nora stood frozen. Her idea, her sweat, her sleepless nights, stolen right before her eyes and handed to Michael like a gift. She gripped the edge of the table to steady herself, her nails digging into her palms. "This collection," she said, her voice steady despite the shattering in her chest. "Michael, when did you start working on it?" Michael didn't even glance at her. "We've been developing this for a while, haven't we, Dad?" James nodded, avoiding her gaze. "Michael's team has been very thorough." "Michael's team," Nora repeated in her mind. Not her, the one who sat in her studio until her fingers cramped from holding pencils. Not her, the one who skipped weekends with friends to perfect every detail. Not her, the one who built the market research from scratch. A memory flooded back. She was 23, fresh out of Parsons School of Design, sitting in a corner of Harper Luxe's studio, James behind her, his hand on her shoulder. "One day, Nora," he had said, "this company will be yours. You have the vision Michael and Ethan don't. One day. Always one day." The meeting ended with handshakes and laughter for Michael. Nora quietly gathered her sketches, now meaningless, and slipped them into her bag. 10 years at Harper Luxe, her ideas driving record profits, yet her name only appeared in fine print on reports. the rising star of Harper Lux, but her light only ever illuminated others. The boardroom emptied, leaving only James reviewing his notes. Nora closed the door after the last person left, the sound of it shutting like a declaration. "A word, Dad?" she said. James looked up, frowning at the interruption. "Make it quick, Nora. I have a call to take." "That was my collection," she said, her voice calm but razor sharp. "My research, my designs, my vision." James sighed, removing his reading glasses. "Business is business, Nora. Michael presented it better, because you gave my work to him." The accusation hung between them, neither confirmed nor denied. "Michael is the head of development," James said, as if that explained everything. "Your ideas were shared with his team to refine." "Without my consent," Nora shot back, placing her hands on the table, leaning slightly toward him. "How many times have you promised me a chance to lead, only to undermine me at every step?" James's face hardened. "High fashion isn't a playground for women, Nora. You create art. Your brothers build the legacy." The words cut like a blade, confirming the doubts she'd carried for years. There was no future here for her, no path for her talent to be recognized beyond her gender. She straightened, a strange calm rising within her. With deliberate slowness, she unclipped her Harper Lux employee badge from around her neck, the lightweight plastic feeling weightless after years of attachment. "Nora," James said, his tone carrying a warning as he sensed something in her gaze. She placed the badge on the table, aligning it precisely with the edge. "Nora?" he repeated, sharper now, but she was already turning away. The click of her heels echoed on the marble floor, each step a severance from a decade-long illusion. The door closed behind her, softly but decisively, marking the end of a chapter. 3 weeks after leaving Harper Lux, Nora Bennett stood beneath the glittering chandeliers of a charity gala at the Plaza Hotel in New York. The sapphire evening gown she'd designed hugged her frame, its off-the-shoulder cut both bold and refined, making her stand out in the crowd. She held a glass of champagne, trying to engage in small talk, though her mind still reeled from the decision to walk away from her family's company. A man approached, his smile warm like sunlight breaking through a storm. "You're Nora Bennett, aren't you?" he said, not as a question but a statement. Last year's Harper Lux winter collection, those off-the-shoulder dresses truly groundbreaking. Nora blinked, caught off guard. Fashion directors rarely remembered the name of the designer behind a brand, especially one perpetually overshadowed by her father's legacy. "You noticed?" she asked, her glass pausing midair. "I always notice what's worth seeing," he replied, his bright brown eyes never leaving hers. He introduced himself as Ryan Carter, CEO of a luxury hotel chain. Throughout the evening, he stayed by her side, asking about her design inspirations, listening as if she were the only person in the crowded room. For the first time in years, Nora felt truly seen. Ryan pursued her like a meticulously planned campaign, white roses delivered to her small Brooklyn apartment, dinner reservations at restaurants booked months in advance, handwritten notes slipped into her coat pocket reading, "You brighten my entire day." Each gesture made her feel valued, something she'd lacked during her years at Harper Lux. 6 months later, when Ryan proposed on a Hamptons beach, the sunset gilding the sand, Nora said yes before he could finish his words. They married in a small but elegant ceremony, and her new name, Nora Carter, felt like a door swinging open to freedom. Her father, James, did not attend the wedding. The first year passed like a dream. Ryan proudly introduced her at social events. "Nora, my wife, a brilliant designer." He encouraged her to create a resort wear collection for his hotel chain, and for the first time, her name appeared on the label. Lily was born 10 months after the wedding, followed by Ava 16 months later. Nora moved with Ryan to Miami for his work, turning a corner of their modern Coconut Grove home into a small studio. She balanced motherhood and freelance designing, her days hectic but brimming with joy. Then the shift came, gradual, like an undertow. One evening before a company gala, Ryan eyed her in an emerald silk dress and said, his tone light but cutting, "That looks cheap. Wear the navy one." Surprised, Nora didn't argue, changing as he wished. The criticisms grew more frequent, like water wearing down stone. "Your sketches look unprofessional," he remarked when she showed him a new design. "This beef stew is bland," he commented over a dinner she'd cooked. "Your friends don't fit our circle." Each remark was delivered casually, as if he were commenting on the weather. She began questioning herself, tweaking every detail of her life to please Ryan. But one evening, when she shared news of a new freelance design contract, Ryan gripped her arm, his fingers digging into her skin. "You're embarrassing me," he hissed, his voice low and controlled, though his eyes flashed with anger. A Carter wife doesn't work like some low-level employee. That night, 5 purple marks bloomed on her arm. Nora stood before the bathroom mirror, dabbing concealer over the bruises, telling herself it was a one-time lapse. The next morning, she sent an email declining the contract with a polite apology. That evening, Ryan gave her diamond earrings as if rewarding her compliance. She began calculating how many bruises for financial stability, how many insults for her daughters to have a father. She learned to predict Ryan's moods, avoiding topics that might anger him, choosing outfits that wouldn't spark debate, softening her voice to soothe his ego. She shrank herself, molding her life to fit the narrow confines of Ryan's approval, until some days she barely recognized the woman in the mirror. Until one Tuesday afternoon, when Nora walked into the living room and saw Lily, her 5-year-old daughter, cowering against the wall, eyes wide with fear. Ryan loomed over her, his finger inches from her chest, his voice icy. "Mommy told you not to make noise when Daddy's on a work call, didn't she?" "She's only 5, Nora said, stepping between them, her heart pounding. She was just playing. Ryan turned, his face instantly softening into a mask of false concern. "I was just explaining, sweetheart. Don't make a big deal out of it. Don't," she snapped, unable to stop herself. That night, after Ryan had fallen into a deep sleep thanks to the sedative she quietly slipped into his bourbon, Nora moved like a shadow. She packed only the essentials: birth certificates, medical records, Lily's favorite stuffed bear, Ava's building block set, 4 outfits for each child, and a folder with her sketches and design tools. 3 small suitcases holding her entire life. Mommy, Ava, 3 years old, yawned as Nora lifted her from bed. "Where are we going?" "An adventure," Nora whispered, her heart racing as she heard Ryan stir in the bedroom down the hall. "But we have to be very quiet." The Miami bus station at 3 a.m. reeked of disinfectant and despair. Lily clung to her hand, Ava dozed on her shoulder. Fluorescent lights cast everything in a sickly yellow glow. Nora sat on a bench, the 3 suitcases arranged around her like a protective wall. She looked at her daughters, uncertain of what lay ahead, knowing only that she couldn't let them grow up in fear. She had left Harper Lux to escape her father's control. Now, she was leaving Ryan to protect herself and her children. But this time, there was no plan, no safety net, just her. 2 small girls and a fierce determination that she would not let herself be broken again. The Miami bus station at 3 a.m. was an alien world to Nora. She sat there, Lily gripping her hand, Ava asleep on her shoulder, the 3 small suitcases a fragile fortress. Rain began to fall as they boarded a bus bound for Austin, Texas, a city she'd chosen almost at random for its reputation as a hub for startups and creativity. No family, no friends, no clear plan, only an ironclad resolve. She would rebuild a life for herself and her daughters. When the bus pulled into Austin Station at dawn, the rain was pouring. Nora held Lily and Ava close under the station's awning. Ava crying from hunger, Lily unnaturally quiet, her 5-year-old eyes searching her mother's face for answers. Nora didn't yet have. The money in her pocket was enough for one night in a hotel or a few meals, not both. As she weighed her options, a low, warm voice spoke beside her. "The first day is always the hardest." Nora turned to see an older woman, about 80, with silver hair pulled into a tight bun and a smile free of pity. "I'm Ruth," she said, offering half a sandwich wrapped in wax paper. "For the little one. You look like you could use a moment to breathe." Nora's hand trembled as she accepted the food, feeling both challenged and salvaged by the gesture. "Thank you," she whispered. "I'm Nora." Ruth nodded, pointing toward a neighborhood a few blocks away. "I've got a spare room at my place if you need somewhere to crash, just until you're on your feet." Logic told Nora to refuse a stranger, an unfamiliar city, but Ruth's eyes held only pragmatism, no judgment. "Just for now," Nora agreed, her voice soft but firm. Ruth's spare room in suburban Austin was small, smelling of coffee and eucalyptus, with a creaky double bed where Lily and Ava instantly curled up and fell asleep. Nora sat by the window, watching rain wash the streets. And for the first time in 18 months, she took a deep breath without feeling her chest constrict. 3 days later, she received an email from Elaine, a friend from Parsons, responding to the desperate message Nora had sent before leaving Miami. "I've got some freelance design gigs," Elaine wrote. "Nothing glamorous store catalogs, casual resort wear. You up for it?" "Anything," Nora replied instantly. "I can design anything." Ruth offered to watch Lily and Ava while Nora worked. She turned the corner of the boarding room's dining table into a studio, spreading out sketch paper, pencils, and fabric swatches. Night after night, she stayed up late, drafting blouses and maxi dresses for retail chain Simple Designs. Infused with her signature, clever cuts, breathable materials, practical yet stylish. Each sketch was a small step back to herself. She paid Ruth the first month's rent with a check from the catalog design contract, including a handwritten thank you note. "Stay," Ruth said when Nora saved enough for a deposit on her own place. "The kids need stability, you need support, and I need someone to talk to." Nora smiled, feeling the beginnings of a home not born of blood, but of kindness. They moved into a ground-floor apartment in East Austin when one became available, with 2 bedrooms and a small balcony overlooking a tree-lined street. Nora turned the second bedroom into a studio, setting up a folding table and a rack for fabric. She worked under a desk lamp after Lily and Ava were asleep, her hand gliding over paper, resurrecting ideas once stolen at Harper Luxe but now wholly hers. One morning as she brewed coffee, her phone rang. It was James, her father. "Nora?" His voice came through, older than she last remembered. "The company needs you. The youth fashion line is failing. The board wants a new direction." Nora stood still, watching Lily and Ava eat cereal at the kitchen table, the steady clink of spoons against bowls filling the silence. "Do I need the company, or does the company need me?" she asked, her voice calm. The distinction mattered. A pause. "Both," James replied. "Urban Pulse, it's not the same without you. We can ensure security for the girls, full benefits, your name on the product." She closed her eyes, remembering the boardroom where her ideas were stolen, the office where her contributions were erased. "I have my own work now," she said. The work was just a handful of freelance gigs, but the conviction in her voice was real. "I'll think about it," she added, then hung up. That night, she sat by Lily and Ava's bedside, watching her daughters sleep soundly. Lily needed braces, Ava had been recommended for a gifted program at school, but Nora's freelance income barely covered rent and groceries. Harper Luxe was a siren call: security, money, recognition, but also a return to the cage she'd escaped. The next morning, she opened her laptop and emailed a local bank for a startup loan. She drafted a business plan for Harper Designs, not Harper Luxe, but her own brand, focused on clothing for modern women, sustainable, practical, affordable yet sophisticated. When the bank officer skeptically asked if she had a male partner, she smiled and said, "I'm the only partner you need to worry about." She secured $5,000, not much, but enough to start. She bought a second-hand sewing machine, rented a corner in a shared Austin workshop, and began prototyping. Her first collection was modest, just 5 pieces: a structured blazer, wide leg trousers with hidden pockets, a reversible wrap dress, a silk blouse with adjustable sleeves, and a pencil skirt with a subtle slit. Not as glamorous as Harper Luxe, but hers, every stitch. Lily and Ava helped her attach labels on a Saturday night, gathered around the kitchen table with pizza and soda. "What's this for, Mommy?" Ava asked, holding a tag that read Harper Designs. "To build something that's mine," Nora replied, brushing back her daughter's hair, "and to show you both that we can do anything." When the first samples were done, she sent them to a small boutique on South Congress. The owner, a woman named Maria, called back 3 days later. "Customers love your stuff. I want to order more." Nora stood in her apartment, phone in hand, feeling like she'd just run a marathon. She looked at Lily and Ava drawing on the floor, and for the first time, she believed they would be okay. But then, one evening, James called again. "Nora, we need an answer. The company's struggling. You're our best shot." Nora stood by the window, gazing at Austin's twinkling lights. "I've chosen my path, Dad," she said. "I'm not coming back." Hanging up, she returned to her drawing table, the desk lamp illuminating fresh sketches. Harper Designs was hers, and though small, it was the start of a legacy no one could take away. 3 years after arriving in Austin, Nora, now 38, stood in the new Harper Designs office, an open space downtown with glass windows overlooking bustling 6th Street. A polished Harper Designs sign gleamed on the door, and inside, 12 employees, mostly women, worked at computers, sketch pads, and fabric racks. Her latest collection, Everyday Elegance, had sold out at 3 Texas boutiques in a week, and a national retailer ordered 200 pieces for fall. Her designs: blazers with hidden pockets, versatile wrap dresses, trousers with discreet elastic waists were not just beautiful but practical, made for busy women, lawyers, teachers, entrepreneurs, single mothers. Fashion bloggers called it a revolution for real women. Nora checked the stitching on a silk blouse at a sample rack. The olive pencil skirt she wore, her own design, had a subtle slit for ease of movement between meetings and picking up Lily and Ava from school. She smiled, recalling yesterday's photo shoot where she'd insisted the photographer use real women doctors, accountants, community activists instead of photoshopped ideals. I want customers to see themselves in my clothes, she'd said, and the social media response proved her right. Hanchad Harper Designs for us was trending. But that morning, her mind wasn't solely on Harper Designs. A text from Elaine, her Parsons friend, lit up her phone. Have you seen the news? Harper Lux is collapsing. Stocks down 40%. They're talking bankruptcy. Nora quietly opened her laptop, reading a Wall Street Journal article. Harper Lux, the family company she'd once been part of, was drowning in crisis. The Youth Line City beat, her stolen idea had flopped spectacularly at New York Fashion Week. Michael, her brother, appeared on CNBC, blaming a volatile market, but his eyes were vacant, lacking the confidence of 3 years ago. She closed the laptop, emotions tangled. Not triumph, not quite sorrow, just an odd emptiness. Harper Lux had once been her dream, where she thought she'd leave her mark. Now, it was just a costly lesson. That afternoon, while refining a trench coat sample, the office phone rang. Ms. Harper, the receptionist's voice came through, hesitant. A James Harper is in the lobby. He doesn't have an appointment. Nora froze, her pencil hovering over the paper. Lily, now 10, doing homework in the office corner, looked up. You okay, Mom? She asked, her voice sharp with the sensitivity of a child who'd grown up through storms. I'm fine, Nora said, though her heart raced. She took a deep breath and stood. Let him in. James walked into the office, no longer the commanding figure who once dominated Harper Lux boardrooms. At 65, he was thinner, his hair grayer, and his expensive suit couldn't mask the exhaustion in his eyes. He paused when he saw Lily, a flicker of surprise crossing his face, then looked at Nora. She's grown, he said, his voice hoarse. What do you want, Dad? Nora asked, her tone calm but not warm. She gestured for Lily to stay, wanting her daughter to witness this, not for revenge, but to understand who her mother was. James sat across from her desk, his hands clasped tightly as if holding himself together. The company's in trouble, he said. The board met yesterday, it wasn't good. Shareholders want answers, but I don't have any. I need you, Nora. Your vision. The youth line, it died when you left. She studied him, the man who'd once said high fashion wasn't a woman's playground, who'd given her ideas to Michael like a gift, who'd never apologized. You need me, she repeated evenly, or you need what I can deliver. James frowned but didn't look away. Both. Come back, lead the youth line. No interference. One day, the company's yours. Lily glanced up from her book, her eyes sharp. Nora placed a hand on her daughter's shoulder, drawing strength from her presence. She walked to the filing cabinet and pulled out a folder she'd prepared months ago, when rumors about Harper Lux's decline began circulating. She set it in front of James. I'm not coming back, she said, her voice soft but resolute. But I have another solution. James opened the folder, flipping through sketches and plans. Harper Home, a line of home goods and accessories, from linen tablecloths to throw pillows with patterns inspired by high fashion. Each piece was elegant, sustainable, and affordable, aimed at young customers building their homes. This isn't about saving Harper Lux, Nora said as he read. It's about expanding it. A separate branch, run by me, independent of the board, not under you, beside you. James looked up, his expression a mix of surprise and something like respect. You could take everything, he said quietly. The company's weak. You could demand anything. Nora smiled, not triumphantly, but with quiet peace. That's why I'm not. I don't need to prove anything to you anymore. That evening, she drove back to their East Austin apartment, Lily and Ava in the back seat, singing along to a pop song on the radio. The apartment was filled with their touches. Ava's paintings on the walls, Lily's bookshelf stuffed with sci-fi novels. In the living room, a corner remained Nora's studio, where she sketched new ideas for Harper Designs and now Harper Home. Nora stood before the mirror, slipping off her blazer, studying her reflection. No longer the trembling 28-year-old in Harper Lux's boardroom, nor the frightened wife in that Miami house. She was Nora, founder of Harper Designs, building a legacy for herself and her daughters. But as she checked her email before bed, a message from Elaine stopped her cold. Harper Lux just lost a major deal with Macy's. Michael's been asked to resign by the board. You sure you don't want to jump in? Nora shut off her phone, gazing out at Austin's twinkling lights. Harper Lux might crumble, but that was no longer her story. She'd chosen her path, and this time, no one could take it from her. 10 years after leaving Harper Lux, Nora stood in a renovated warehouse turned Harper Design's headquarters, nestled in Austin's artsy industrial district. The space was airy, with high ceilings, exposed brick walls, and large windows flooding it with natural light. 30 employees, mostly women, worked in sync. Designers sketching on digital tablets, the marketing team analyzing social media trends, accountants reviewing figures for international orders. Harper Designs, now distributed to 20 states, featured in Vogue and Elle, hailed as the brand for real women. Their latest collection, Unbound, with convertible dresses and jackets with smart pockets, had debuted at Austin Fashion Week to unrelenting applause. Nora, now 43, wore a beige blazer of her own design, standing by a sample rack, inspecting a silk dress with asymmetrical hems. Lily, 15, interning at the company for the summer, walked in with a new color palette. "Mom, I think the slate blue works better for the fall line," she said, handing over a tablet. Nora smiled, seeing Lily had inherited her eye for aesthetics, though her daughter leaned toward interior design over fashion. Ava, 12, was in the office corner, painting a mural for a company community project, her curly hair bouncing as she swayed to music from her earbuds. That afternoon, while meeting with her team about Harper Home, a line of minimalist yet elegant linens, throw pillows, and ceramic vases, her phone buzzed. A text from her financial advisor. Latest quarterly report. Harper Lux stable for 3 straight quarters, your shares now at 25%. No one, not even Lily or Ava, knew Nora had been quietly buying Harper Lux stock through a proxy for 2 years. Not to control or exact revenge, but to save a legacy she'd once been part of, not for her father, James, but for the young woman who'd believed Harper Lux was her world. She closed her laptop, looking out the window at Austin glowing under the sunset. Harper Lux had stopped bleeding money, thanks to subtle guidance she'd funneled through her advisor, but she had no intention of setting foot in that building again. Harper Designs was her world, built from nothing, a place where women like her and like Lily and Ava could shine freely. That evening, their East Austin apartment buzzed with laughter. David, whom Nora met a year ago at a neighborhood book club, was in the kitchen helping Ava bake cookies. A high school history teacher with gentle brown eyes and a smile that made Nora feel seen, not for her success or her past, but for who she was. He brought books for the girls, sci-fi novels for Lily, graphic novels for Ava, and always asked about Nora's latest sketches with genuine curiosity. "Is David coming for dinner?" Ava had asked that morning, her eyes sparkling. 6 o'clock, Nora replied, chuckling as Ava bounced with excitement. Her daughters had embraced David before she dared to fully open her heart. The doorbell rang, and Ava raced to answer it while Lily pretended indifference but subtly fixed her hair. David stepped in, carrying a bundle of wildflowers and a new book for Nora the Night Watchman by Louise Erdrich. "I'm on salad duty tonight," he declared, kissing her cheek lightly. Nora looked at him, a quiet peace spreading through her, as if she'd found a home that didn't demand her freedom as payment. Dinner was lively until her phone buzzed. James's number. She hesitated, then answered, stepping onto the balcony for privacy. "Nora," his voice came through, weaker than she remembered, carrying the weight of his 70 years. "I need to see you. It's important." They arranged to meet at the apartment for Sunday dinner, an unexpected family gathering Nora agreed to because Lily and Ava wanted to see their grandfather. When James arrived, he looked far older than the last time she'd seen him, his silver hair thinner, his once sharp suit ill-fitting. David took the girls for ice cream to give them space. Nora placed a folder before James' financial report showing her 25% stake in Harper Lux and the strategic changes she'd quietly influenced. "You saved the company," James said, his hands trembling as he flipped through the pages, "even when I thought you just wanted to tear it all down." Nora poured him a glass of water, no ice, the way he liked it. "Not to tear it down, Dad, not to save you either. I did it for me, for the girl who once believed Harper Lux was her dream." James looked at her, his eyes glinting with something rare regret, perhaps. "I don't deserve this," he said, his voice catching. Then, softer, almost a whisper, "I love you, Nora." Words she never thought she'd hear from James Harper. She didn't respond right away, only took his hand, feeling the calluses from years of building his empire. Some wounds took longer than words to heal. The sound of a car pulling up outside broke the moment, followed by Lily and Ava's laughter mingling with David's voice telling a silly story. Nora stood, opening the door to welcome them. "Mom!" Ava ran in, hugging her, chocolate ice cream smudged on her lip. Lily tugged David inside, showing him a new sketch on her phone. James stood, taking in the scene Nora's family, not his, but built on a foundation she'd created herself. "Thank you," he said again before leaving, his steps slow under the streetlights. Nora turned back to find David washing dishes, Lily and Ava debating which movie to watch tonight. She stepped into the kitchen, placing a Harper Designs label on the fridge beside Ava's painting and Lily's schedule. This was her legacy, not Harper Luxe, not what she'd saved, but what she'd built. A company, a family, a life where she didn't need permission to be herself. She picked up a new sketch from the table, a dress with detachable sleeves, made for women always on the move. The sewing machine in the corner waited, ready to hum its late-night song. Nora smiled, knowing that whatever tomorrow brought, she was ready.